One of the advantages of buying watches constantly is you build a relationship up with your local authorized dealer. I just bought my IWC Schraffhausen Le Petit Prince watch. To that extent, boutique manager Stephen, who sold me my watch, was gracious enough to also show me some of the other brands they carry at the store. One of the brands he showed me that I'm not too familiar with is a brand called Nomos. It's a German brand from what he told me, from Glashutte in Germany. That being said, Stephen?
Hey, our pleasure you can make it in today. So yeah, as you said, this is Nomos Glashutte. They are actually a small independent company out of Glashutte, Germany. Actually, I say small, but they are rapidly growing. They have actually this year become the largest watch manufacturer out of Glashutte. There is a lot of good reputable brands out of there, like Glashutte Original. A. Lang & Son is actually produced in that area as well. So there is actually a lot of really reputable timepieces coming out of the German industry right now. But this brand is a brand that I particularly like. As I said, it is a fully independent company. So they do everything themselves, everything they want to do, how they want to do it. And everything they do stands for a purpose, everything means something, everything has a story. And that's just really something that really drew us to the company, and I really like the finish work and everything that these guys do. So I mean, I've got a few pieces in front of us here that we can kind of just have a look at and go over. I'll describe a few things to you and we can just see what catches your eye.
Sure.
So we'll start here. This is one of the most expensive, or the most expensive steel piece that Nomos makes. It's also the most complicated. Nomos doesn't do a whole lot of complications. They pride themselves on actually the thinness of their movements. So this here is the Zurich World Time. You can see here in that beautiful midnight blue complication, in that midnight blue dial, sorry. As you can see here, it has the World Time complication here. We'll flip it over and you can see that beautiful in-house movement. I love the finish work on Nomos movements. They're exquisite, and you can just see the fine details that they put into it. Also, these straps are all hand stitched. They actually source the leather out of Chicago, ship it to their factory in Glashutte, where it is hand cut and hand stitched there in their factory.
So Stephen, these watches all feature in-house movements.
Yes.
And everything seems to be in-house with this brand, which is a pretty big achievement, especially some of the price points you were telling me.
Yes, most definitely. So as I said, this is their most expensive piece, and this is $6,000 for a World Time complication. If you look at other brands that are very comparable, in my opinion, such as Omega or RWC or even Longines and stuff like that, I mean, to get a piece with this sort of complication, especially to have it fully in-house at this price point, it's a really attractive feature in my opinion. I mean, as I said, this is their most expensive piece, and they go all the way down to about $1,500-$1,600 for their manual winds. Another really nice feature about these guys is they do not make a quartz movement. Everything is either hand wound or a self-winding automatic movement. So I mean, all of their movements are just stunning and extremely accurate. They are to master chronometer standards too. So that is the -5 to +4 seconds a day. So I'll show you here with this World Time. See on the dial, it has all the different time zones here. And then at the simple click of a button, see your hour hand and your home time all shift to show when you're traveling exactly what the time is. It's a very convenient feature for those travelers who do like to obviously wear a nice watch when they do go traveling, and this just has that nice added feature of just being a beautiful tool watch as well with that wonderful dial. This guy here is the Autobahn. They actually collaborated with a European designer for this watch. The theory and the story behind this is it's meant to reminisce and resemble the 50s and 60s European race car. So if you look here on the dial, you can see the speedometer resemblance, as well as the odometer down here with the 3-date function, just to show those numbers. Again, you have the beautiful sapphire crystal case back on that movement. If you look at the case on the side here, it's also meant to resemble the wheel well of those famous cars. And actually a really cool little feature, this here is actually an exhaust pipe. That is actually something that the designer insisted on having on the case. He said if this was not featured on the case, he was not going to approve this watch. So I just think there's just a bunch of really cool little details about this watch that make it just super unique. It has a wonderful concave dial it's kind of hard to see in pictures, and that's the other thing with this brand. Pictures and videos never do this brand justice. I mean, you need to see them in person, and it's just see the quality of it, see the finish work on the cases. I mean, they are just beautiful pieces all in all. So let's see, we'll move over here. This guy is the Nomos Club Sport Neomatic. So this has the Neomatic movement in there as well. The in-house master chronometer standard movement. This is on also on their bracelet, the traditional bracelet. It's very unique with the sign buckle here as well. An interesting fact that they've done, they actually have their clasp when it's put together, it actually folds in a reverse function. I had to ask the rep last time he was in why they chose to do that, and his explanation was plain and simple: because we're an independent company and because we can. It was literally just they wanted to do something different. They wanted to just show that, hey, we don't answer to anyone. We want to do something a little bit different and something very Nomos. So I just like the little touches like that. You can just show that they are really independent and really all about just the little fine details. And as I mentioned before about the thinness of their watches, this is their dive watch. This is rated to 1,000 feet. So as you can see here, it's still very slender, 42 millimeter case. I love the texture, how it's got the sunburst here in that sub-second dial with that nice matte finish there as well.
This has to be one of the thinnest watches you can use for diving that I've ever seen, and it's just incredible that's coming from a manufacturer that is truly independent today. Usually when you get to independent manufacturers, you're talking about multiples higher on the price points.
Yes.
I referenced Patek and AP, but it seems these guys' price points are lower. What would be the price points of the last two watches you showed us, the Autobahn and the Neomatic?
So the Autobahn is 4,600,
Mm-hmm.
and again, the story behind that watch, I mean, I just love everything it stands for. They do make it as well in a nice white dial as well, but this blue dial is really stunning. I'm drawn to blue dials personally as well. And then this Club Sport is right around the 4,100 on the bracelet, and again, for a dive watch rated at 1,000 feet for that depth, at that price point, I mean, it really is great value for money. You get a lot of bang for your buck out of this brand as well.
And it seems you also have a smaller size watch, probably a unisex watch.
Yes, so this is their 34 mil. This is a part of their base club range, the ones that I was stating before, that right around, that 1,500-1,600 price point with their hand wind movements. This model actually shows a engravable case back. So the story with this watch, and especially this dial, this is called the Future Orange. So this dial is actually meant to resemble the bright future ahead, whether it be from a promotion or a graduation or an engagement. This is just meant to resemble bright things coming ahead and just the bright future that you have. So they like to have this, and you can get a free engraving on this. So you're able to, if it's a gift or to remember a certain date or someone, it gives you that ability to really make it a really memorable piece.
Stephen, this brand, and forgive me, it seems to be one of the undiscovered gems of the watch world, with sensible pricing, ultra high quality, and everything done in-house. I mean, is that the way they're positioning themselves, or?
You are 100% correct on that. I mean, everything they do, they're not trying to be, the $20,000 watches. They do have actually a couple of solid gold pieces that are right around that 10, 20,000, but that's just purely to show what they can do. They love to stay in that sort of affordable price range where people can get them, but they still have, the beautiful finish work, and they hold their value. They're a wonderful company, and just they're wonderful to work with. They are more than happy to do whatever is needed to, facilitate and make you a happy buyer. They always asking, what can we do? What have customers and clients been talking to you about, and what can we do to improve?
Small detail that kind of impresses me is even the buckles have Nomos written on them, which is one of those small details that I particularly like in the watches. It's not just on the clasps for the bracelet over there, but it's also on the buckles in there. This seems to be just a absolute fabulous watch. If you don't mind, I'd like to try potentially the world timer on, just
please,
to see how
yes.
that fits.
Yes, please.
So everyone knows I just bought a watch from Steven, so this is starting to become a little bit of a habit. Fortunately for Steven and unfortunately for my bank account, it seems.
Oh, that's okay.
This is absolutely lovely the way it fits. A world timer very rarely will fit on a wrist as small as mine, but
I mean, as you saw in the previous IWC video we had that world time complication, and that was a big watch, and even the thickness of that watch. I mean, to match that, to have that same sort of complication in a watch of this size, this thickness, is just, it's impossible. It's really impressive.
well, Stephen, when I decide to buy my next watch, I know which brand I'm going to get. Thank you again. I appreciate your time.
I appreciate you, Kanal. Thank you very much.
All right.